G'day everyone, it's Rob here from the Doctor Who Show, and this is a video like so many I make that I didn't really intend to make, but I've had such reactions to a tweet I put out there on X. Do you still have tweets if they're on X? I don't know. I thought I might expand this into a bit of a video because there is a bit more nuance than can be put into a tweet. So here I am, and it begins with this article in Deadline earlier this month talking about the author going to a Disney event where they were promoting Disney shows, and Doctor Who didn't have much of a presence there. And he concluded that because it didn't have much of a presence there, and because reactions to the show have been so mixed, both in fandom and in wider pop culture circles where people don't really know Doctor Who, but they still like to talk about it for some reason, he's concluded that things might not be going so well, might not go so well in the future, all of that stuff, and sort of threw a cat among the pigeons, sending parts of Doctor Who fandom at least into a bit of a spin. And I read this article and I pulled out all sorts of takeaways. For example, I could tell the author isn't really a Doctor Who fan because some of the quotes he gets from people in it, he doesn't question at all. At one point, the editor of Doctor Who magazine, of all things, declares that the reboot of Doctor Who in 2005 wasn't an overnight success. And frankly, I call bullshit on that. And the author of this article should have called bullshit on that, because Doctor Who did very, very, very well in 2005. There was marketing and advertising all over the UK. Anyone who was there at the time will remember that. The episodes themselves did very well in terms of ratings. I mean, you go and look at Rose, and it was 10.81 million, dropping a little in the second episode to just 7.97 million, picking up again to 8.86, and then you're in the high sevens, high eights, mid eights, dips a little towards the end. Bizarrely, it dips almost the most for Bad Wolf and the Parting of the Ways, which are probably two of the best episodes of that season, which both had just under 7 million viewers. But that's kind of the low point for that season. So to say that Doctor Who wasn't an overnight success when it was pulling ratings like this, I think the average is up in the 8-9 millions when you average all of them out. It's just crazy for Doctor Who magazine's editor to say that it wasn't an overnight success. Yes, it got more popular when David Tennant came along. It went up a gear, but it wasn't going up a gear from being, a dud. It was a success. This guy should have questioned it. Anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole there. Let's reverse out of that rabbit hole and just say that this article, despite its faults, despite the author not really taking its talking heads to task, shall we say, still put a lot of fans in a tiz. And the first thing I thought of was an interview Russell T Davies did back in March, where, without knowing it, he countered this article quite handily. For those people who think, oh, yeah, the Disney deal hasn't gone well, it's all over for Doctor Who, it was only a 2-year deal, they're not going to renew it, panic, panic. This article from March has a quote from Russell saying, "If Disney collapsed tomorrow and we had to go back to making Doctor Who on a normal BBC budget, you know what? We'd all rally around and make it, and suddenly the stories would become claustrophobic ghost stories. A lot of people would like that very much." And I thought that's just perfect because it sums up the situation really well. As I said in a follow-up tweet, Disney doesn't own Doctor Who. No matter what people might think, no matter what YouTubers kind of try and suggest, all Disney has done is pay a bit of money to have global distribution rights for Doctor Who. And if that money disappears, the BBC can still make Doctor Who. And when they make it, they can sell it to all the networks they used to sell it to before Disney came along. For example, here in Australia, that's the ABC. In Canada, I think they have the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, a similar sort of thing to our ABC and the BBC and all of that stuff. And all the networks around the world who buy Doctor Who. And it might not be Disney levels of money, but the show will still make money. And look, whether the BBC decided to offset that with making less episodes, I mean, gosh, we've already gone down to 8 episodes. What if we went down to 6 episodes a year? Or what if there was a longer period between seasons? What if it was a year and a half or even 2 years between seasons? That's a possibility too. Or there might be no change at all, aside from just the overall amount of money, meaning that Doctor Who might be a bit more earth-based, a bit more haunted house, these claustrophobic ghost stories that Russell T Davies talks about in this quote. The point is that Doctor Who would still go on, and Disney and the Disney money, in quotation marks, is quite irrelevant to the equation. Now, I appreciate this is nuance that some people don't understand because they never read this Guardian article originally, or they don't really understand how the Disney deal works, or they do think that Disney now owns Doctor Who, or something along those lines. And I think this is why my tweet about it has done so very well, where I said, I note fans soiling themselves over the Deadline article, so I'll just point to this comment from March and gave the quote. I think people needed to hear this. I think with YouTubers especially out there, the kind of YouTubers who decided they hated Ncuti Gatwa Doctor Who when Ncuti was appointed to the role, 2 years before they even saw any stories. They decided they hated it. You can sort of see how disingenuous people like that are, but they're the kind of people who are out there right now saying, oh yeah, look, it's all over for Doctor Who. Disney's going to yank the deal. That's it for Doctor Who. No, it's not. The only way it's over for Doctor Who is if the BBC decides to stop making Doctor Who. And as a still quite successful program, which they can sell to multiple overseas networks in lieu of Disney, I think there's still a place for it in the BBC roster. Again, maybe with less episodes. Again, maybe with longer in-between seasons. The BBC is not flush with cash, that's for sure. But folks, if you're out there worried about this Deadline article, or just worried about the YouTubers in general saying, oh, everyone hated the Ncuti Gatwa season 1, and no, not everyone did. And, oh, that means the show is going to be axed. No, don't worry. You've got it straight from the horse's mouth from Russell back in March, that even if the Disney money goes, there's still a way forward. This is all very much a storm in a teacup. And on that bombshell, I'll leave you until our next episode of the Doctor Who show. I'm not sure which one it's going to be here on the channel. Probably our monthly episode talking about season 12 of Doctor Who, Tom Baker's first season. So join Dave and I for that. Find us on your podcast app of choice if you'd rather listen to us there. And until then, I've been Rob. Catch you next time.